And today we're joined on the program with Mr. Ashish Parikh, GM, Global IoT and AI Solutions for Richardson RFPD. Ashish, how are you today?
I am doing great. How are you, Mo?
I'm great. I'm here talking to you about IoT. What's bad about that?
So I don't know. You've got a great background. You're obviously in paradise. So
I'm channeling Fort Lauderdale right now in February for the IoT Evolution Expo. That's what I'm doing now. I'm channeling it.
Excellent.
While I'm in Connecticut, which isn't so bad today either. No complaints.
Okay.
So diving right in, for those not familiar, could you talk a little bit about what Richardson RFPD does, like what your sweet spot is?
Absolutely, yeah. So we're a global distributor for RF, power, and connectivity products and solutions. We're an aero electronics company, but we operate with our own sales, marketing, and operations staff.
Okay.
RFPD has been part of Aero for 10 years, but the RF heritage that we have, the expertise, really goes back over 50 years for us. It was an independent company that was acquired by Aero 10 years ago.
Okay. So what are some of your key differentiators? How do you guys stand out?
Yeah, in the market that we're focused on, there are three areas that we focus on. One is RF and microwave. Number two is energy and power. And the third is wireless and IoT. And in each of these areas, we have the right set of technology manufacturers, products, solutions, services, because customers really need help making this, the decisions on which products that they need to have in their designs, how they put it together. The requirements are getting very, very complex in the RF world, and we have the experts to help our customers through that process. From an IoT perspective, specifically, we're focused on connectivity. It's the I of the IoT. The internet is something that we're really good at. And there's a lot of other parts of IoT. You know, there's sensors, there's embedded computing, there's cloud. And for sure, all of that is really important, but how that device connects is critical. The efficiency and the battery life and all of that matters. And that's where we're really focused with the modules, the antennas, the data plans. And we have a really compelling offer to help customers with that.
Sure. So what are you guys seeing, say, the past year and change in terms of new challenges, new opportunities in regard to, say, IoT adoption and deployments?
Yeah, again, last year was a challenge for a lot of us. And, we definitely saw some people hit the pause button for some projects in 2020. But as people started understanding, look, this is the new normal, this is how business is going to be done moving forward, people decided that we've actually got to embrace this opportunity and start doing something that's going to help us as we come out of this pandemic. And we saw customers pivoting their solutions to address health and safety. We saw customers kind of looking at problems that they had relative to deploying people out in the field and what I call route-based monitoring, right? People get in a truck, go site to site, check something, and then write it down or put it on an iPad. And, people started really embracing those types of opportunities and saying, look, we've got to either find a solution or create a solution to address that because it's costing us too much money. And if we can't deploy people, then we're kind of stuck.
So I kind of got hung up on something you said back there. I've got to ask, because I read all the time about, accelerated plans. Like the pandemic forced us to accelerate our roadmap. They forced us to accelerate X, Y, or Z. And you referenced the pause button. Was that more of a, let's stop and think where we can pivot? Or was that more of a, hey, we're just stuck right now?
There was a lot of uncertainty as the pandemic started. And people were trying to figure out, what is it that I want to do? Go back to, March of last year. We didn't know if we're going to come out of this in a few weeks or a few months? Well, it's neither, right? So people were trying to figure out what is this going to look like? And I think uncertainty kind of caused people to hit the pause button. And then people start to kind of say, look, the strategy that we have is sound. I've got to go move forward with it. And people started moving forward.
Right. That makes sense. So I feel as though we'd be remiss if we didn't discuss 5G. And, and in terms of the role that it plays, right, in your product roadmap, and the role that it plays in IoT at large today and moving forward.
Yeah, 5G, 5G's here. 5G's here. It's I would say from our perspective, 5G is really two different markets for us. There's the infrastructure market, which we address with our RF capabilities, and then there is the IoT, which is the user side of 5G. So I'll focus on the IoT side. From an IoT perspective, it's really two areas again. There's high bandwidth, low latency, really high throughput if you think about it. And then there's massive IoT or LTE Cat M1. And, we're seeing customers really outside of North America, but some in North America too, embracing the high bandwidth, low latency aspect of 5G. And then we have more and more, customers looking at designs and kind of embracing cellular as a connectivity technology, whereas previously we saw a lot of Wi-Fi and Bluetooth. Again, we're not saying that one's better than the other.
Sure.
It's really use case driven, and we're seeing customers using the 5G capabilities in new types of products. I'll give you an example. We've got a customer that is now adding 5G to a VR headset. Something that we know that these kinds of use cases are emerging, but we're actually engaged in these designs, and it's interesting to see how people are thinking about leveraging the capabilities of the new networks.
Well, it's not like people didn't have a very long time to think about how they would use 5G, right?
That's for sure. But I think the cellular operators will claim that we'll definitely be taking victory laps this year because 100 million plus 5G devices have been sold this year. That means 5G is real. And again, we've got a ways to go, but we definitely see movement in this space. And like I said, more outside North America, but starting to come into North America as well.
So I have to ask, do you have any thoughts on 6G? Because we finally got to 5, and now I feel as though we're trying to leapfrog to 6G already. And I don't know, do you have any thoughts on that?
The technology investments, the standards are going to take some time. Some of the standards relative to 3GPP for 5G are just getting finalized. Look, people are going to talk about whatever gets them more clicks in certain instances. And in other instances, it's also looking forward. I think there is going to be a need for doing more, and I think that evolution will continue. But what problems is 6G going to cause? Not cause, but address that are not being addressed in the market today. I don't think we've fully figured out what is it that we're able to, what use cases and applications is 5G really going to create? I mean, with 4G, we finally figured out, we watch, YouTube on video on our phones all the time. That was unheard of in the 3G world. So we don't know what 5G really is going to do and what problems or limitations it's going to have, which 6G will have to solve.
Sure, that makes sense. So then staying on this train of thought, right? How in the past year or so have you seen wireless evolve? Like how have you seen deployment shift, right? And focus shift in the past year or so?
Yeah, you know, wireless adoption continues. Uh, you know, there's a great book by a guy at MIT from probably 25 years ago called Being Digital, which basically said everything that's wired is going to be wireless. And over the last 25 years, that book has proved to be true. And so we see more and more wireless connectivity everywhere, whether it's Bluetooth, LoRa, Wi-Fi, cellular.
Right.
We're seeing all of it. Connectivity needs to be seamless. It needs to be ubiquitous. It's table stakes. If it's really complex, people struggle, whether it's for, industrial use cases, commercial use cases, home use cases, it doesn't really matter. But we're seeing people continue to embrace and adopt wireless technologies.
So getting a little personal, you referenced pivoting earlier, right? Working with some of your clients and hitting the pause button. How has Richardson had to pivot in the past year or so? What are you guys doing different today?
As our reputation over the years really has been our expertise. We've had our sales and engineering teams engage with our customers in the field. And as the pandemic hit, we obviously had to rethink what we had to do relative to that customer engagement. We still wanted to keep that close relationship, close engagement with customers. And, while there was always a desire and effort to step up our digital customer engagement, it really started to accelerate that digital customer engagement. We started to invest more money in it, to leverage the best in technology platforms, kind of made it mandatory for people to be on video when needed, being comfortable with video, making sure they have the right environment, and really not being in front of a customer as a reason not to do something, right? So yeah, it's not the same, for sure. Breaking bread is important, but making sure that connection that you have with people continued, and that's really where we've put our efforts, is on that digital engagement with customers.
Great. So long after I'm done channeling Fort Lauderdale behind me, and you're not blurry anymore in the background, and Richardson comes to mind, what would you like the one thought to be that runs through our listener or viewers' heads?
So, look, I've been in the IoT game for quite a while now, and one thing I've learned about IoT is no one company has the answer for IoT. You need to sense, you need to connect, you need to analyze, you need to monitor, you need to update. It's just the life cycle of IoT devices. People who would go make the claim, hey, I can do it all, are probably, lying to you. And the reality is, go find the right partners who can help you solve specific problems. And our focus is on connectivity. We are RF experts. And as RF gets more and more complex with multiple antennas, you really have to think of IoT as RF devices. There are typically going to be wireless. And as you look at those wireless devices, you got to look at the module choices, you got to look at the antennas. Antennas are really important, which people think, oh, I can just stick, some tin foil and that's my antenna. And that's not quite right anymore. Antenna design is very, very complex. And we have a very flexible connectivity offering that kind of puts it all together. So we have the products, we have the expertise, and the supply chain really to help customers build and succeed with their products.
So before I let you go, Ashish, I have one question for you. I'm going to make you make a crazy prediction for the next year. What is the biggest leap that we're going to see in the IoT by this time next year?
There'll be 20 billion more devices that will be deployed.
Okay, I buy it. Ashish,
all right.
Thank you for joining us today. Thank you for everybody for watching, and have a lovely day.
Yeah, thank you so much, Mo.